Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday night edition of the Wise Up Show. Today, Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, May 28th, 2023. How is everybody? And yes, Gina, this is a real show. So, Trullo, how are you? Gina, how are you? Welcome. I got to tell you, I am shot. I detailed the Silver Bullet today. Waxed it, did everything to the outside. I am like beat, really shot. I'm going to have to take a couple aspirins after the show. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing this Memorial Day weekend? You guys enjoying the weekend? The weather's beautiful. I mean, the weather's going to be nice tomorrow too, and then all next week too, as we are approaching summer. And if you notice, it's getting dark by 8:30 now. Yeah. And before you know it, it'll be getting dark by 10 to 9, and summer is right around the corner. Hello, Adam. How are you, buddy? How's everything? Benny, how are you? Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys are all having a nice holiday weekend. Like I said, the weather has been gorgeous. Usually it rains at least one time during the Memorial Day weekend. How do I know that? Because our town, we usually have a street fair, during the Memorial Day weekend. But this year we haven't had it for the last couple of years, but it's always rained at least one day, and it's always been on the day that we had the street fair. So we really lucked out. Hello, testing 1 2 3 4. Just testing the microphone. I know. I'm gonna try not to mute this show. But, so truly, you just took a nap, huh? So you must be nice and refreshed now, right? Nice and refreshed and ready to go. I went down the shore last night, late, right after work. I went down the shore and I went out carousing. I was at a club down in Seaside called Hemingway's, and it was packed. I got to tell you, wall-to-wall people, it was packed. $10 cover charge. The drinks were watered down. But you know what I did? I brought a flask. I brought my flask. And I filled it up with Rock and Rye. And I didn't buy any drinks. Because they're watered down. I'm not paying $14 to $18 for a drink to get watered down. It's ridiculous. Then this morning I went out on my brother's boat on the water. It was beautiful. I was in the bay down in Seaside. And it was really gorgeous. And then now I'm back in North Jersey. But I can tell you that the shore is mobbed. It is mobbed, because Memorial Day is the opening of the Jersey Shore for the summer. That's really like the official opening. But I had a good time. I mean, when you come over the bridge from Seaside into Toms River, there's cops right at the bottom of the bridge, checking everybody out before they go into Toms River, making sure that there's no, drunk drivers. So they did stop me, and they did the flashlight thing and all that. But I was, I had one drink really. And I'm not really a drinker, so I was okay. So today's topic, how to tell if somebody dislikes you. Well, you know what? We can't be liked by everybody. It would be nice if we could be, but we can't be. But here's some things. I'm going to play a cute little video for you. A cute little video I'm going to play. Don't be fooled by the cuteness of the video, because I showed one last week. It's almost like the same thing. But it's got some good points, 10 points of what to look for if somebody dislikes you. It'll help you enlighten you a little bit. Generally, I guess you could tell if somebody doesn't like you. I mean, we're all mature, intelligent individuals, so you can tell. But this will help you. It'll bring out some points, 10 points, of what to look for. Some of these things you may not be aware of, and this video will make you aware of. So I'm going to play that for you now. It's very, very short. It's a cute little video. And like I said, don't be fooled by the cuteness of the video. It's got some very good points. So I'll watch this, and I'll be right back after the video.
Life would be a whole lot easier if everyone liked us.
Wars wouldn't exist, political upheavals wouldn't happen, and divorce rates would lower. Unfortunately, no matter how hard you try sometimes, there will always be people who don't like you. And guess what? They don't have to. Friendships wouldn't feel as good, and love wouldn't be as amazing if we weren't reminded of what rejection, hatred, and alienation is like. Wondering if someone loathes you? You no longer have to play detective. Here are 10 signs someone secretly dislikes you. Number 1, they're curt with you. Do you ever feel like you can talk to your best friend 24/7? Even if the two of you aren't having a deep philosophical conversation, talking about something as silly as cheese or bricks seems entertaining, right? But when someone dislikes you, it's the complete opposite. They cut the conversation short. If you ask them how their day is going, they'll give you one-worded answers like, fine, or okay. It becomes clear they don't want to talk to you. Number 2, their body language says it all. When we like someone, we have a tendency to make eye contact, mirror their body language, and lean in closer. But when someone dislikes you, they will avoid eye contact, cross their arms, and lean away from you. They do this in order to protect themselves from you, creating an invisible barrier that keeps you out. Harsh, right? But it's a common defense mechanism humans use. Number 3, there's a lack of trust. Vulnerability is the key ingredient to establishing a strong connection. But when someone secretly dislikes you, they will be suspicious of your intentions, even if they're good. For some people, it just takes a while for them to open up. But this can just as well be a sign that they dislike you when you put in constant effort to get to know them, but they keep you at an arm's length. Number 4, they get easily frustrated with you. Do the two of you argue or disagree over matters on a daily basis? When someone dislikes you, they'll do anything except make things easy for you. They might have been in a good mood, but once they interact with you, they turn sour, bitter, and angry. Number 5, their etiquette is forced. When someone outwardly dislikes you, they will be loud about it, whether it's lashing out on you regularly or telling you to your face. When they secretly dislike you, however, they might try to get along just to avoid conflict. Whether it means forcing a smile or doing things to keep the peace, they will keep the surface clean between you two. Deep down, though, they may think ill of you and display this through their passive-aggressive behavior. Number 6, they avoid you as much as possible. Do they live or work in close proximity to you, but limit communication to emails or text messages? When someone secretly dislikes you, they will do whatever it takes to have minimum contact with you. It's especially a sign if they find out your schedule just to avoid you during your lunch hours or time you need to occupy the same space. And when you do end up bumping into one another, they'll always have an excuse ready at hand to avoid seeing you again. Number 7, they listen to you half-heartedly. When we care about someone, we usually do our best to listen to what they say. But if someone is only listening to half of your story and zones out for the rest of it, it's clear they just aren't that invested in you. Other indicators include scanning over your messages instead of fully reading them, giving you only half the answers you need. Number 8, they don't make an effort to understand you. Feeling misunderstood can be a rather alienating experience. So when someone dislikes you, They won't want to provide support to your ideas and values. Instead, they'll make you feel invisible, unheard, and will dismiss your thoughts, whether it's done subtly or explicitly. One-upping is another strategy they use to control the conversation instead of allowing you to give your own inputs. Number 9. They never invite you to social gatherings. Why would you even want to be invited to someone's birthday party when you know they hate you? Still, it hurts to know, right? When you see all your friends, families, and coworkers being invited, everyone except you, it slowly becomes obvious they want nothing to do with you. Number 10. Your gut tells you something is wrong. Sometimes your gut feeling is not enough, especially when anxiety makes even sound judgments wrong. But if you're getting a strong message from your gut free from anxiety, your instincts are telling you it's not worth your time trying to change this person's mind. Life is short. Cherish your moments with people who love you and leave the rest behind.
And there you have it. So I hope you learned a little something from that video. Some of those things you might have already known about. But, it would be a great thing if we could be liked by everybody. But that, that's not always the case. My father said to me a long, long time ago when I was a little kid, he said to me, Ralphie, he said, in life, you're not going to be liked by everybody. And I said to him, why, Dad? He said, well, there's a number of reasons why. It could be for any reason. It could be anything, that some people just may not like you. He says, but the people that don't like you, he says, don't try to make them like you. In other words, don't kiss their ass to try to make you like them. Like you, rather. He said, walk away from them. He said, and forget about them. And don't worry about them. And I've always, kept that in the back of my mind through the years. You can't. If somebody doesn't like you, it could be for any reason at all. It could be jealousy. It could be the way you look. It could be anything. You may not even have done anything to the person. Because there are some pretty miserable people out there. But I'm sure there's some of you guys right now that some people may not like you. And you know what? So what? Those kind of people, if they're your so-called friends, or acquaintances, I wouldn't even bother being friends or even acquaintances with them. I just wouldn't even bother with them because you're not going to change their mind, There's some people that don't like me, and I know who they are, and I really don't care. I really don't. Seriously, I really don't care. I don't bother with them. And, it's for a couple reasons, but, all right, so some people don't like me, So I don't bother with them. I bother with the people that like me and surround myself with people and friends that are positive and that don't display any type of negativity, because I walk away from drama and negativity, off of YouTube and even on YouTube. So I don't bother with those type of people, and you can tell if somebody doesn't like you, like it said in the video, people will avoid you, people will give you half-assed compliments. There's a number of things. Yes, absolutely, Emmanuel. It's their loss. I found that a lot of it is jealousy. A lot of it stems from jealousy. And what do I always say? I always say that jealousy is a wall that's put up between you and the other person if you're jealous of somebody. I always say that, it depends on what you're jealous about, because it could be for a number of things, It could be because maybe this person's got a better car than you, a better house, better clothes, they go on trips, whatever. They're successful. And again, like I said before, that everybody's definition of success is different. their meaning, you know. But you should try to look at that individual that you're jealous of, if you are jealous, and see what made them get to the point in life that they're at, you know. And maybe you could take some of those things from them and implement them into your life. You may be able to do that. You may not be able to do that, you know. On the other hand, too, you know, these people that have all these things, a nice house, a nice car, nice clothes, they go on trips, you don't know their financial situation, right? You don't know their financial, they could be deep in debt and just displaying that they, you know, that they have money, but they could be very deeply in debt. So you don't know because you don't live with them. You know, like there's always two sides to the story, you know. American Made, how are you, buddy? Thank you for stopping in. It's good to see you. I've been checking you out. Maureen, how are you? Who else did I say hello to? Well, I said hello to man. Gerard, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Gerard, I just want to take a moment and I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I wanted to be able to do that on the show, other than an email. I really do appreciate that. And that was very, very helpful. I didn't put it toward my brakes though, buddy. I put it toward the new camera because I needed, the brakes are already taken care of. I put it toward the new camera because I broke my camera. So actually what I'm using is my cell phone. And the camera that I broke is $350. So I hit it with my forearm and it fell on the floor and the lens cracked. That was a bad week. So I put that toward the expense of the camera. You know, and anything I get, I put toward the show. I don't really spend it on me. I spend it on, you know, for the show. But I want to thank you again. Yes, Don, absolutely right. There are a lot of two-faced people out there. Look, I've been around a long time. You know, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I'm not bragging. I'm a pretty good judge of character. I know I know a lot about personalities, and I observe a lot. And you're right about the two-faced people out there. There's a lot of two-faced people out there. How about the person that will smile in front of your face and stab you in the back? How about that? I'm sure, I don't know if that's happened to any of you, but I know it's happened to me. They smile in your face and they stab you in the back. As a matter of fact, that's the song, The Backstabbers, as a matter of fact, right? The Backstabbers. Good point, Gina. Good point. And you know what? I want to tell you something. I will never get an ulcer. I will never get an ulcer worrying about somebody of who likes me and who doesn't like me. And Gina, you're doing the right thing, because we're at the age now, I mean, that we just want to enjoy life. We don't want we have to try to avoid as much stress as we possibly can and have a good time and have fun. As you know, I mean, as you get older, fun becomes less and less, you know, because of our daily responsibilities. You know, we're not like kids anymore living at home when we all had to think about was playing outside. Maybe, you know, that was our thing that we thought about, you know. But as we got older, you know, we got more responsibilities and more stress, and, you know, things got put on our shoulders and our fun becomes less and less. So you have to make time for fun as you get older, because fun gets less. You know, you have to make the time. And people say all the time, oh, I don't have time. You have to make the time. Yes, we're all busy with our lives, you know. Some of you may have kids that are still, you know, living at home. Some of you may not have kids, but if you have kids, you know, I mean, and they're in grammar school, you know, then their social activities become your social activities. Their sporting events, if they're playing sports, you know, you're with them, you know, at their practices and their games, you know. So you got to have fun. Life is too short. You cannot be serious all the time. You can't be serious all the time. There's a time and a place to be serious. But for the most part, during the day. Me, myself, I laugh and joke and kid around all day long. I think maybe some of you know that already. I kid around a lot. I'm very rarely serious. People know when I'm serious. But you have to kid and joke around and laugh. Laughter is very healthy. It's a very big stress reliever. It really is. So, you have to make the time. I'm just running down the chat real quick to make sure I said hello to everybody. I think Bella. Bella, okay. You were under another name, right? You confused me. Adam, how are you, Adam? Did I say hello to you? I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm just running down the chat real quick. Adam, very, very good. Some people will stab you in the back and ask you why you're bleeding. I like that, Adam. That's really good. But that's true. That's true. That's very true. Who said it in the chat? Let me just go back and see who said this about the Two-Face. Who said about this? Was it Don? Was that you that said that? Because people are Two-Face. I agree with you. Backstabbers are lowlife. You cannot expect everybody. If you're basically a nice person and you're nice to everyone, you cannot expect everyone to be the same way that you are, because the people are just not going to be that way. Maybe some people, but you can't expect people to be the same way that you are. You can be nice and considerate and respectful and helpful, and then all of a sudden that person turns around and screws you. Sound familiar? Part of life. Part of life. Be leery of the people that you're surrounded by. Again, it would be a wonderful thing if we were all able to be liked by everybody. And like I said before, jealousy plays a big part in that. It doesn't do anybody any good. It really doesn't. It doesn't do you good if you're jealous, or it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Like I said, my father told me that many years ago, and he was right. He was absolutely right. I got to change the subject real quick. I got to tell you something, because speaking of my father, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't really talk about these things. But I was about 9 years old, and I was living in Newark, and we lived on the second floor, and our living room window faced the street. And I was looking out the window one day, and it was the summer, and this car pulls up. This guy gets out of the car. Now, at that time, we had steel garbage cans. It was garbage day, and we had steel garbage cans. There was no such thing as plastic garbage cans back then. This guy gets out of the car. He picks up the empty garbage can, the steel can. It was empty because the garbage men came. He picks it up and he smashes the front of my neighbor's car window. Just smashed it into smithereens. So I called my father and said, Dad, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Pasquale's, this guy just smashed his window. So my father came running and he goes, what are you talking about? Look out the window, Daddy. So my father caught the guy he got in his car and he pulled away. So I said to my father, I said, Daddy, I said, why did that man smash Mr. whatever his name was, Pasquale's car window? So my father looked at me and he said to me, he goes, Ralph, he goes, something probably happened. He goes, but someday when you get older, you'll understand why. So to make a long story short, what it was is that Mr. Pasquale was a degenerate gambler and he owed the Shires a lot of money. So one of the Shires, my father ended up telling me this when I got older, one of the Shires came to his house, he wouldn't answer the door. So the guy picked up the garbage can and smashed his windshield as a as a reminder. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking about that the other day because I just mentioned my father, but I'm getting off track here, but I growing up in Newark back in the day, I'm a little older than some of the content creators. So, and these things I don't talk about, but I experienced all these things, growing up in Newark. And, I was exposed to a lot, hanging on Bloomfield Avenue at a young age, at 13 years old, because at that time, back then, it was safe. Kids roamed the streets and everything was good. So I hung out on the avenue, on Bloomfield Avenue in Newark at a very young age. So I was exposed to a lot of things, seen a lot of things, did a lot of things too. But, I remember back in the day, I could have been a runner. I could have been a bookmaker. I could have did numbers. I could have did sports betting. I could have did all of that. But, I just, I chose not to. So those things, are a thing for me in the past that I don't really talk about because there really isn't any need to, But back in the day, growing up in Newark, we were surrounded by that. There was a social club on every corner. If you ever watched The Sopranos, where they sat outside Satriel's and they sat with the chairs turned around the opposite direction, that's how all the guys sat outside in the social club when it was nice outside. So I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that because I had mentioned my father. But and he did. Of course, he's not going to say that to a 9-year-old. What the real reason was, because I wouldn't be able to comprehend what a Shylock was. I wouldn't even know what that was at that age. Arms, very true. When people gossip about other people, it's right. It doesn't make them look good, because if they're talking about another person, they're certainly going to talk about you. They're certainly going to talk about you if they're gossiping. I always say this. What do I do? And I mentioned this before on other shows. I don't know if you remember or not, but when people are in a conversation and they're talking negatively about somebody, and I happen to be in that group, or somebody will ask me a question or ask me for my opinion or whatever, I don't say anything. What I do is I just do this. I shrug my shoulders. I don't say anything, and you're safe. Because nobody could turn around and say, well, Ralph or Gina or Citrullo or Arms said this about this one. You know what I'm saying? Because I can guarantee you that it will always get back to the person. Maybe not right away, but it will get back to the person, what you said that was negative about that person. Gina, I don't listen to it either. I just walk away. That's why people say to me, what do I live under a rock? Did you hear that Maria's seeing John? Well, Maria's married. And John's married. Who gives a shit? It doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Or this one's screwing that one, or this one's screwing that one, or this one's seeing that one. I don't care. It doesn't concern me. I don't care. So what? If they want to do that, that's their business. You know what I'm saying? I don't even say that. I just don't say anything. It happens once in a while, but not often. Like last night, I went out gallivanting. I went down and went to a club. I mean, there were people down there there was girls out there that were married, and there were guys that were married down there, and this one's hitting on that one, and this one's hitting on this one, and it's a meat market. When you get to be at an older age like us, we're worse than the kids. I gotta tell you, we're worse than the kids. Absolutely, Arms. Loose lips sink ships. And like I said, if they're talking gossip with you about somebody, I can tell you that behind your back, they're probably talking about you. You know? And then if you find out that they're talking about you, then you get pissed off at them, you know? Or you may get hurt, you know, depending on how close you are. That's why I always say, be very, very leery. I mean, some of us have very close friends, and I mentioned this on the other show. But just because you have a very close friend does not necessarily mean that you have to divulge everything about your life to that close friend. If you have a very serious problem, you know, you may want to talk to your parents, maybe, if they're still alive. You know, I don't know. Or you may want to seek the help of a psychologist, because it's not good to divulge everything about your personal life, especially finances. And I mentioned this on the other show, because sometimes what will happen is your very close friend that you trusted and confided in, something may happen between the two of you. Things may go sour, and before you know it, that person may be pissed off at you and angry. You may be pissed off at that person and be angry. And before you know it, everything that you told that person is out in the open and everybody knows your business. There's no need for everybody to know. There's no need for everybody to know everything. Be leery about what you tell people, especially, and I mentioned this before, about your finances. Nobody talks about finances. They'll talk about a bad relationship and who's screwing this one, who's doing that one, but they won't talk about how much money they have, how much money they make, what they got in the bank. You follow what I'm saying? Nobody talks about that. Well, you're right, Arms. Unfortunately, the world right now is in a very, very bad situation. Stephen, how are you, Stephen? I didn't say hello to you. I see you're in the chat. Good evening to you. Unfortunately, the world right now, especially in the United States, is in a very, very bad situation. A lot of people right now are very stressed out, simply because, you know, the rising cost of everything. It's very hard and difficult for them to make ends meet, especially if they have children. So a lot of people are not really happy, you know. So people are walking around pretty miserable. Tempers are flared. Some people are not nice, you know. The economy's not the greatest. We got the worst president that we ever had. Doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm sorry if any of you voted for Biden. I mean, you know, disrespect, but I did not vote for Biden. I voted for Trump. And Trump is running again. I'm going to tell you something, that Trump is going to win. When Trump was president, okay, now I'm getting off the subject. Now, when Trump was president, now Trump is not a politician, all right? He's an excellent businessman. He's an excellent negotiator, and he doesn't like to lose, and he has a big ego. And those things were in our favor. Those things were in our favor because he negotiated very well with other countries. He doesn't like to lose. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He tells it like it is. Okay, he's a little harsh at times. I have to admit, he is a little harsh, but he's not a politician. You know, he's a good businessman. And you got to look back when he was the president. Look at when he was the president as to where we are right now. Biden gets into the presidency, he shuts down the gas pipeline. That's our main, what do you call it? Our main, what's the word I'm looking for? Resource. He shuts it down. He opens up the gates. I mean, and he says the economy's doing better? Come on. Economy's doing better. We're in the worst shape than we ever were, and he's the worst president 20 years from now. He will go down as being one of the worst presidents ever. The man cannot even put on his own coat. He needs his wife to put his coat on. He can't read a teleprompter. He's just He's just whacked out. Well, I don't know about you. Hey, Jenny, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. I don't know about DeSantis. I still say that Trump is going to win. You know, all this stuff with is a bunch of nonsense. Absolutely, Adam. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, he's not a politician. Sometimes he's very tactless. I mean, he tells it like it is. You know, he doesn't pull any punches. I mean, but like I said, those things like him being a good negotiator and him not wanting to lose and always wanting to win is because of his ego are things in our favor for the American citizen, you know. They're in favor for us. And like I said, look at the way we were a couple of years ago as opposed to the way we are now. You know, everything has increased in prices. Food has gone up. Gas has gone up. Rent increase. You know, even last night when I went out to the club, clubs are starting to charge a cover charge now. They stopped that years ago. Back in the 70s in the disco days, you know, we used to have to pay a cover charge of $5, $10. So now the clubs are starting to charge a cover charge just to walk in the door. One place in Ortley Beach, New Jersey, was charging $25 just to walk in the door. Are you crazy? And the drinks are so expensive that the guys are buying women less and less drinks because it's too expensive. I was talking to a friend of mine. He went out Friday night to dinner with his friends. Him and his friends, and just himself, he dropped $250 on a nice meal and drinks. Just for himself. $250. Now, can you imagine if he took a girl out? You're going to be dropping $350? You need a part-time job just to take a girl out. No kidding. Absolutely, Steve. Stephen, you're right. Backstabbing will never stop. Gossiping will never stop. Backstabbing will never stop. People disliking you will never stop. You know, those are things that are just a part of life, you know. But like I said, those kind of individuals you don't want to really associate with. You want to separate yourself from them and really have nothing to do with them because you're not going to change their mind if they don't like you. And like my father said, don't even try. I'm not going to kiss somebody's ass for them to like me. You know, either you like me or you don't. You know, it's just a part of life. No, Adam, you forgot the parking. I forgot to mention the parking. Oh, it cost me $45 to park for a couple hours. How many hours? 5 hours. 45 hours before I even walked into the door. $45 for the parking, $10 to walk into the door. I had my flask. I bought one drink. It cost me $16. It was watered down and full ice cubes. And I brought my trusty flask with me that I said I was going to bring. And, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm more content hanging home and laying on the couch and watching a movie. That's how it's got to be, you know? Because, you know, it's just like, it's crazy. I mean, you know, and there was, you know, the thing is, there was a couple of girls there that I knew everybody there anyway, but I bought one girl a drink. But the guys weren't doing it. The guys weren't doing it. And I talked to a couple of guys, you know, I said, John, I said, you gonna are you gonna buy anybody a drink tonight? He looked at me and goes, are you kidding, Ralph? I said, no, I'm serious. He goes, he says, are you kidding me? At $14, $16 a drink? I said, John, I know. I'm just, I did have yes, Gene, I always have a good time when I go out. I went out and I danced, I danced about 5-6 dances. And then, I saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in quite a while. And, but the place was packed, jumping. It was packed. I did have a good time. You tend, what do you think of? Do you think of having a good time? Or do you think about how much money you're spending? I don't think about how much money I'm spending. Maybe a little bit, but I'm there to have a good time, enjoy myself, to see friends, dance, have a drink or two, and just have a good time, Well, I had the flask hidden. I had this real nice flask. I mean, I could show you. It's I got this a long time ago, and it's got my initials on it, RJM. It's in silver, and it unscrews, and the top is attached to the nozzle, so you can never lose the. No, I can't show it to you. It's in the curio cabinet, but it's really nice. It's about this big. You can put it right in your pocket. Usually you carry it in the winter in your jacket, or your suit jacket or whatever. But I very rarely use it, But now I'm going to start using it. And the bars don't have Rock and Rye. Rock and Rye is my favorite drink. I go in there and ask for Rock and Rye and the rocks. They look at me like I have two heads. The bartenders don't even know what the hell that is. No bars carry that. Gianni. Your wife got wise to you, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I tell you. That's funny. What'd you miss, Gina? Oh. Yeah, well, Gina, you gotta hide the flask. You can't walk in with a flask. You can't walk in with a flask. I don't even think they would, to be honest with you, I don't even think they would know what the hell it is, to be honest with you. But you can't walk in with a flask. You got to conceal it. I've seen people go into the bathroom with little shots, the little bottles. That's another thing. Couple bottles. They got it in their pocket. 3-4 bottles. What it like? Depends on what it is. Like $3.99 a bottle. Fireball, whatever they had. And guzzling it down in the bathroom. Yeah, it's terrible, man. I'm telling you. That's true. That's true, Gianni. Don't forget about the gas. The gas and the tolls. The tolls is another. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 12. About another $14 just for the tolls, going and coming. Gas, going and coming, parking. $45. So it's an expensive night. It's expensive. Well, Gianni, no bottles are $1. There's no, those little bottles are not $1. They were a long time ago when they first came out. It depends on what kind of liquor that is in those bottles. It's usually about $2.99 and up. I have a whole collection of them. I have over 300 of those bottles. I've been collecting them since 1977. But they're $2.99 and up, depending on what kind of liquor you get. But people do bring them in the bathroom, and even the girls do. And the girls got purses, so they can fit more. They can fit more in there. Adam, the world's smallest tip. Well, that's not fair. I mean, they're working, and I happen to be in the, I mean, I was always a decent tipper. So I'm not really, they're there, they're working, and they're hustling, so they have to make money too. So I'm not going to cut back on the tip. I'm just not going to do that. The world's smallest tip. Oh, Jeannie, you're probably a good dancer. You're probably a good dancer. You're just very modest. You're very modest. Yeah, Johnny, yeah. You're right. Trying to pick up a girl, even if you meet somebody at the club, you be a gentleman, you buy her a drink, and then, if things happen, you may go out and ask her, you want to go out for breakfast, and that's another thing. Going out for breakfast to a diner. That's not cheap either anymore. Nothing's cheap. Nothing is cheap. That's another $30, $40 that you're dropping right there. And, but you can't go, if you meet somebody, you can't have the expectation of thinking that you're going to be, I'm going to give too much away here now, that you're going to end up in bed with this girl. First of all, I don't do one night stands, especially with somebody that I just met. I don't know anything about that girl. So I am not doing a one-night stand. That's out of the question. Some guys will do that. You like my background? Yeah, it's nice and peaceful. Yeah, so we got really off track of the show. But that's okay. I mean, you don't have to talk about the topic through the whole show. We mentioned those things, and that's what's good about it. That's what's good. You guys are all great. Great bunch of people. Hold on a second, guys. I just want to see something real quick. I just want to make sure. I want to always make sure that I said hello to everybody and acknowledge everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out because somebody had made a comment last week that I never say hello to them. And that's not me. That's not like me. I know that Yanks was here. Yanks was here and he probably disappeared. He came in and said hello. Yeah, Gerard, you had the steel industrial drums. That's what that's what we had, because my grandfather owned a leather factory, and the big steel drums held the paint. So when they were done with those steel drums, my father brought a couple home that we used for garbage cans, and man, those things were heavy. That's why when that guy lifted up that steel can, that steel drum, his and smashed it. The whole windshield was shattered, So yeah, those steel drums are very heavy. Like I said, back then, they didn't have plastic garbage cans, and in the fall, everybody had those steel drums. And when they would after the leaves would fall in the fall, everybody would rake up their leaves and they would burn the leaves in those steel drums. And everybody did it at the same time. So the street would be filled with, right down the road with all these steel garbage cans that were on fire, burning leaves, and you could smell it through the whole neighborhood, blocks away. And it seemed like everybody on the other blocks too, everybody seemed to do it at the same time. It's really weird, and it was always at nighttime. So the whole block was lit up, That's a nice childhood memory. Of course, you can't do that today, because they have leaf bags. They didn't have leaf bags back then. And, you know, what can I say? Good memory. It's a good memory. That's something you never forget. The smell is something that you never forget. Nicholas, how are you, buddy? Nick? How are you doing, Nick? Good to see you, buddy. How's everything? Thanks for stopping in. It's always nice to see you. But yeah, I mean, hold on a second, guys. All right, Gina. I understand. But thanks for stopping in, hon. I appreciate it. Gina's always in and out, you know, because of her dog and stuff. She's got things to do. But I understand, hon. Yeah, Gianni, it's a nice childhood memory. You know, to see, and of course on our street we had about maybe, I'm going to say maybe about 30 houses on each side. You know, it was a long street. So, you know, you look down this, you see, if you stood in the middle of the street and you just look, you know, you can see on both sides, you know, all these cans that were on fire. It was like a ritual. I don't, you know, it was like a ritual. And the smell, you know, permeating through the air. It was a fall night, you know, the moon was out, you know, and the sky was clear, and it was a full moon. And it's just a good childhood memory, you know. Those kind of things you don't forget. Adam, you're right. You know why, Adam? I think you know, back then it was it was a simple time. It was a simple time back in the 60s, and people were not as petty as they are today. You know, on my street in my neighborhood, everybody's door was always open when the weather got nice in the spring and in the summer, all through the spring, all through the summer. Even though there were 30 houses on the street, you know, 15 on each side, everybody on that street knew everybody. And we were able to walk into anyone's home on our block at any time. And we were always welcomed. You know, come in, Ralphie, you want something to eat? You hungry? You want something to eat? Of course, you know, our street was predominantly, in my area was predominantly Italian. You know, and my street was predominantly all Italian. You know, there's a few Irish people and a few German and Polish. But people were more hospitable. You know, the older people, come on in, you know, have a cup of coffee, have some cake. You know, just like, what's his name talks about, the comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco. That really happened. You know, the tin, the Sanka, you know, the Sanka and the tin, the Entenmann's, you know, that really, really happened. Because he talks about real life situations. But the doors were always open. And I think I mentioned this once before, that in the springtime when it was nice on a Sunday, everybody had the doors open, their windows were open, and everybody was making their gravy, their sauce at the same time. So you would walk down our street and you would smell the different flavors of people cooking their gravy and sauce and frying their meatballs and neck bones, and you know, the whole street just smelled great. It was just a great time, you know. And like I said, people were more hospitable. And at nighttime, people hung out on their porches. They hung out, you know what a porch is, right? People hung out on their porches, just hung out, you know, at night, you know, telling stories and talking and bullshitting, you know. And you'd walk down the street, you see everybody on their stoop, you know, talking. It was just a great time. You will not see that today. As a matter of fact, today they don't make houses with porches. Very, very rare. And the only reason why they made houses with porches back then is because before air conditioner came into existence, it got so hot that people would sit on their porch in the evening because it was cool, because air conditioning hadn't been invented yet. But very rare is you'll see a house today built with a porch. Would I sing? Would I sing a? Would I? Hold on, Gerard. Would I sing Mississippi Delta by Bobby Gentry? I'm not even familiar with the song, but I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Let me write that down. Hold on a second. Where's my pens? Hold on a minute, Gerard. Let me write that down. I never even heard of that song. What is that? Mississippi Delta? Hold on a minute. I know who Bobby Gentry is, but Bobby Gentry and Mississippi Delta, MISSISSIPPI Delta. Okay. I'll listen to it. I never heard of it. I'll check it out. Oh, Gerard, we had so many kids on our block, my God. I think we had more than 60. You know, back then there were big families. You know, there was like 4 or 5 kids in a family. Some had 7. So we had a lot of kids, you know, and we were always, you know, playing touch football in the street. And our neighbors would get pissed off at us because the football would hit their cars, you know. Go play down by your own house, you know. So we're always getting hollered at by the neighbors because the football was always hitting their cars. But you know, like you said in the summertime, where Gianni said that who said that? Gerard said that you slept out on the porch. Yeah, you know, some people back then. Not everybody had air conditioners back then. Not everybody had air conditioners. You know, at nighttime, if it was a cool night, people would stay out on their porch, and some people did sleep out on their porch. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Gianni, I'll check into it. Absolutely. I never heard of that song. Yeah, Sebastian is great. He is really funny because he talks about everyday things, and everything that he talks about I can relate to. You know, especially, you know, like the skit that he does with the neighbor, you know, when people come to visit, come on in. Excuse me. Come on in. Good to see you. I thought I'd drop by. That happened. Come in, I'll make some coffee. You know, get the cake out. That really happened. It really had. So he's talking about real life situations, you know. Or the doorbell, when the doorbell rang, you know. Today, you know, people checking it out. But today we got Ring, so, you know, either you answer the door or you don't. So Ring is a great invention. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Adam, we had one of those neighbors too. I was fortunate. We had a pool. My dad bought a pool. So we at nighttime we had a spotlight that in the backyard that would shine on the pool. So when the summertime, when it was really hot, you know, we would go in the pool at night. We were lucky. And we would let some of the, you know, the kids, some of my friends come into the pool, the neighborhood kids. They were great times. You know. And, you know, they're good memories, you know. And like that today, none of that stuff will happen, you know. Hey, Gianni, I didn't have color TV. I never grew up with color TV. I didn't have color TV until I got married. So I grew up watching everything in black and white. And then when I got my color TV and I watched some of the old shows, I realized that they were in color, you know. All right, guys. Well, I think I am going to end this show. But remember some of the important tips that I showed you. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, we can't be liked by everybody, but what are you going to do? I mean, listen. Just surround yourself with people that are positive, people that you can trust, or at least you think you could trust, and stay clear of individuals that are like that. And even if they're acquaintances, I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't bother with them. I really wouldn't. But well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and I hope you guys all have a rest of the Memorial Day weekend and find it enjoyable. I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys as listeners, and I just want to make sure before I go, I am going to play, before the show closes, I'm going to play one of my own songs on the duet that I did with Ava, which was Just a Fool. And Ava is doing very well right now. She's going to college. She put her singing career on hold right now. She's concentrating on the other things. So, I won't be singing with her anytime soon because she's now, concentrating on college and out having a good time. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. What's today? Today's Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. I'm sure some of the guys will be having their shows tomorrow. But again, enjoy the weather because, here in the metropolitan area, the weather's going to be nice. I don't know where anybody else is, in the States, but in Connecticut and New York and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Boston, the weather's going to be nice. So I hope it's nice for you too as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Stay well. Enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend, and I will see you soon. And right now I'm going to play I'm a Fool by me and Ava.
Another shot of whiskey, please, bartender. Keep it coming till I don't remember at all how bad it hurts when you're gone. Na 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 na. Turn the music up a little bit louder. Just gotta get past the midnight hour. Maybe tomorrow it won't be this hard. But who am I kidding? I know what I'm missing. I have my heart set on you, but nothing else hurts like you do. Who knew the love was so cruel? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I waited so long for someone who never comes home. It's my fault to think you'll be true. Yeah, yeah, I'm just a fool.
Yeah, said I don't care, walk away, whatever. And I told myself we were bad together. But that's just me trying to move